So I just got done spraying, did about 45 acres today. I believe today is August 15th. I'm about at 3,100 acres on the season with my DJI Agris T40. That's about the same as I've done last year. Gonna end the year with more acres this year, and which is shocking for the amount of breakdowns and parts I've been running to get the last few days, and then wind and rain shutting me down. But this year there's more dealer infrastructure out there, so I can drive and get parts instead of overnighting parts or ordering them on Thursday night, which happened to me multiple times last year, and not ship. Monday morning I was flying and I got my drone clipped in a power line. And as you can see, there are different color propellers on here. And when I bought the drone, it came with a full spare propeller kit, or a full set of spare props. And those are black. I don't think I have any originals left on here. So I ran into the power line, and like most power lines, you got the lower wire and the upper wire. Well, I got caught in the lower wire, and which is the neutral one, so I got lucky. I got very lucky that the drone stayed on for 2 hours, just dangling there sideways. So if you look at the drone, these two arms were dangling. This one, I did have to replace this motor. That one got broke dangling on the wire. But you can still see the motor cover here. That's where it was dangling on the wire. So I have to replace all but 2 or 4 props. I can't remember. There was one arm that there were some that were still intact. But I am very, very lucky in that sense. This thing's pretty much paid for now, so anything else that I do is making a profit. And the white props came new with the newer model, the DJI Agris T50, but they're the same propellers as the T40. They're just white. Supposedly the black ones are warping in the sun because they're black and they're going to be warmer. 10.5 gallon tank. Best day I've had so far this year was 205 acres. Not quite as good as my best day last year, but considering that I did that in 11 hours versus last year I probably did that in 13, really impressive. Setup here, I've got the DJI generator, a little more expensive, but it comes with a built-in charger to charge my batteries. I've got 3 batteries, and this is the cord to hook up to the cooling station. And I can keep up with 3 batteries. I know there are a lot of people out there that bought different generators with a separate charger, and they have to run with more. This is the Handler 3. This is my chemical mixing system. So I measure out my jugs, throw my jugs in there, chemical, measure stuff out. Some of them I'm able to use this knife kit to slam the jugs. That way I don't have to pour chemical. I've got my hand wash station here, so I can wash my hands when I'm done. And then in here I've got my battery storage, my cooling station storage, some parts, some tools if I need to do something with the drone. And then I've got a 1,000-gallon water tank, which is overkill for what I need. This trailer, I could easily build a second platform and have a second drone. I do not have any intentions to do that. I probably could have gotten by with a 500, probably a 600-gallon tank. But this leaves us with flexibility. Someday, if we want to ever get our own ground rig, we can do that. And there I've got my jug, or my mixing pitcher, and then fuel for the Honda pump for the handler and my generator. I figure I use about 1 gallon of gas for about 16 to 17 acres. Good going, less flights, charging batteries, go longer. Per more acres covered, that can be closer to 20, if not more, which is, I think, really impressive. Obviously, that does not take into account going field to field with fuel. Last year, I did not have this homemade railing here. This is what I call redneck ingenuity here. I didn't want to pay for more metal, so I went to Menards, got some lumber, and painted these up. And instead of screwing into the metal platform, my girlfriend Gorilla taped this on there for me to help me out a little bit. And then, yeah, last year I did an incident where I was parked like this in a driveway, and the drone slid off and I smashed one of the arms as I was landing. Just not flat enough, and that's being down is a lot of opportunity cost. Yes, you don't like being down you don't want to buy parts, but the amount of acres that you can cover, or custom acres that you can pick up, is huge. This thing's starting to show some wear a little bit. I have put more money into parts into this thing, but I think right now for me that's cheaper than getting out and getting the next biggest drone. Some people say, yeah, you can get the bigger drone, cover more acres, but for us around here, the smaller fields, the amount of moving that I have to do, this is very, very practical for me. And now that I've got enough acres done, that I've got this thing paid for, I'm making money, I can afford to put parts into this thing. And I just got to be careful as an operator too. Some of these things, parts are worn out. Each of the motor nozzle spinning motors have gone out. I've had to replace those. And then one of the pumps has gone out. I've got spares of all those on hand. And I have had to replace the tank. There's a tank leaking on the top. So there are weight sensors that the tank sits on. I don't know how well you can see that, but the front one must have vibrated enough to punch a hole in it, and it started leaking when I put full tanks in. And yeah, that red thing in the back of the truck, that's my gas tank. I just unhook the trailer, go to town, get gas. Got a BP fuel card or credit card that 15 cents off a gallon of gas, so that's huge. But overall, I'd say this setup has been very, very good for me. Gooseneck trailer. One thing I wish this thing did have is the axles had duals on them, and maybe I should have flipped my setup around. Maybe the water tank should have gone over the axles, but I never have this thing full of water, which my mistake when deciding or figuring how many acres I could do in a day. I was taking advice from people that were out west and had much, much bigger fields and less cut up, but is what it is. Like I said before, this setup, you could easily put on a different hose on there and a hose reel or something. You could easily fill up a ground rig. One other nice thing about this, so this is a Venturi system. Spent a little more money on this, but worth every penny to me. I didn't have to plumb anything myself. Just had to play around with it and figure out what each valve did, and then make some banjo fittings to make this hose. And this was 1-inch barbed on a ball valve, and I grinded down the barb, and then it's basically like filling a gas tank with your car. The lid basically works the same as fueling up your car, and then a 2-inch to 1-inch reducer adapter there, and then that can come off and easily throw on 2-inch valves. And then this valve is your jug rinse. So once your jug is empty, you turn this on as you're filling up your water, and then it sprays up into your jug out of that PVC right there and just sprays up. And then this valve open forces everything to recirculate, so it's mixing. Some products need to be agitated the whole time. Some of them settle out. Some of them don't really need to be agitated. And then when I need to rinse the whole thing down, the whole tank, when I'm rinsing water, turn this valve open, and there's a sprinkler up here that will take care of rinsing down anything. A buddy of mine welded the platform. My mom did the stairs and the shelf, and I set up the tanks, and found that box on Amazon. My mom is very handy with the construction work, so she came up with the idea of these steps. A lot less room. Honestly, these things, it would have been nice to have a platform the whole way across, but this is cheaper. And I think for what I'm doing, it doesn't need to be overly fancy. Just like landing up here, I don't think I've landed on the ground once this year. Maybe the first couple days last year, but while I was getting comfortable. But landing on the ground, sometimes you're on gravel roads like I am now, and you kick up gravel and it can chip your propellers or dust. A lot less dusty up here. And if you're in a field driveway and there's corn on both sides, this setup is, sometimes there are tassels that are higher than the platform. So if I tried landing in that field driveway, it would throw a fit because there's radar on the drone, and it would sense the corn as an obstacle and be a pain to fly in and out of there. So having a platform is huge. I highly recommend a platform if you're in there. Another huge thing this year that I added is this range extender that is on an extendable paint pole that I attached to the back of the trailer. It goes 25 feet up in the air, and yes, you're supposed to remain line of sight the whole time with the drone. Sometimes that's not capable of happening. This thing easily paid for itself, I'd say at least 2 to 3 times over, helping with efficiency and not making me move, because when I'm up there last year, I would have to pretty much, if I needed visibility, I would have to climb up after the drone's taken off on my platform to stand up there. Sometimes have to hold my controller up here to keep signal. Well, this thing goes 5 feet higher up than me doing that, and that's been huge. Allowed me to do a lot more acres. Cut back on fatigue climbing up those steps, but I think the most flights I've done in a day is about 65. So you count how many times climbing up and down those stairs that is. Definitely good for my leg muscles, but can definitely be a killer sometimes, and those batteries are 35, 40 pounds. Other than the instances that I've had, all of my issues have either been just parts just wear out, or my fault in being the operator. The power line the other day, I did not scout the field hard enough and map around that. Again, my fault. Thank you to the power company for coming to help me get that down. And insurance for being available to help cover any third-party damage. And people out there that handle the parts. And with that, I'm going to throw up more drone footage that my girlfriend got doing some custom work. And thank you guys for sticking around for this video. I hope you enjoyed the drone footage that my girlfriend got. She's probably going to help more on the channel. She might dabble with editing a few videos. Who knows? She might be cut out some of the rambling that I do on some of them, and I'll make sure to let you guys know when I upload them if she edited them, and you guys can make the decision whether or not she's a better editor than me. Probably won't take very long for her to do so. She can probably make the channel a lot better than I do, but that's on her time. So I don't want to make her do more than she has to, and we'll see if that goes there. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you did and did not like. And pretty soon we'll get back to the regular farming videos. Did third crop last week, and stay tuned for more videos. And thanks for watching. Carter out.